Hi, I'm Dan Quiggle with DQ Design. This is part 3 of a 4-part series on how to outsource engineering services. So please check the other videos out so you have them all in context. So in this third video, I'm going to discuss developing engineering outsource service contracts and choosing the type that's right for your situation. Also, we'll go over some things that you might want in your contract when dealing with outsourced engineering firms. I want to emphasize that I'm not an attorney, so seek representation for any of these matters. How to develop engineering outsource contracts. Contracts define the relationship between the client and outsource firm based on expected performance and mutual risk. Thus, the experience in defining a scope of work to meet specification is important for both parties. Setting the boundaries of the scope and consistently managing for scope creep is the project manager's responsibility. The efficiency at which the firm executes the scope is primarily where the firm's risk should be. The scope of work should include scope description, deliverables, acceptance criteria, scope exclusions, constraints, and assumptions. The client's risk is that an engineering firm has no incentive to be efficient with a design where the final cost of a product isn't correlated with their pay, and therefore, as long as the design firm meets specifications, the firm's obligation is satisfied. With engineering, meeting specifications can mean many things if the original specifications were not very well thought out and detailed in their requirements. That can be very hard to accomplish in design engineering without initial studies, research, and/or experience. The initial scope research is what can exclude qualified engineering firms from bidding jobs without capital to invest in the exercise. Developing proposals in a competitive environment for where there are incumbents can be costly, and the firm has to build that cost into their overhead along with their general infrastructure costs. Thus, a client eliminates all of this in a partnering incumbent relationship. Change orders can become a point of contention and sour the relationship if expectations weren't similar in the beginning of the project. I've seen examples of abuse on both sides where neither agrees to the magnitude or variation of scope, and thus change orders or withheld deliverables take place. There are a number of defined contractual relationships that have different purposes depending on the customer and product. Some example engineering outsource contract types would be contract labor, which is hourly labor rates for each discipline and level. There's partnering, which has cost and workload term agreements or an IDIQ contract. Cost plus, which has an agreed percentage above firm's cost with incentive bonuses. Fixed price, which has set price for the engineering scope. A design build, which is a set price for the engineering, fabrication, and installation. Engineering firm insurances. Errors and omissions insurance covers the firm in mistake-related issues, and general liability covers bodily injury or property damage, and it can also cover certain claims of libel and slander, and you can request a copy of the policy during the contract negotiation. A typical policy covers up to $1 million. Engineering confidentiality agreements. When working in product development or competitive environments, it's common at the onset of your discussion with engineering firms to engage in an appropriate context confidentiality agreement. Non-disclosures and non-compete. They help solidify the relationship and are usually not complicated or contested. Engineering warranties. Typically, the engineering services are warranted to the extent that they have been performed per general standards of that discipline. Should errors be found, the firm will correct the error. Force majeure. Should events outside of the control of the firm, such as natural disaster, COVID-19, government upheaval, acts of God, etc., the firm will take liable exemption. Patent rights. Intellectual property provisions should be discussed and agreed upon prior to engaging in valuable inventive development, if applicable to your project. Seek patent representation if this is the case for your project before engaging an engineering firm. If the firm is offshore, they will typically be obligated to receive patent right approval from their government before agreeing to yours. Engineering outsource purchase orders. A purchase order has all the scope, requirements, deliverables, and payment terms outlined. It should be in place prior to execution of the work. Typically, there are milestone payments based on deliverables. If there are scope changes, revisions to the order should be made along the way. Make sure both parties have signed, executed copies. Okay, so we've decided to outsource our engineering. We chose an engineering firm that fits our needs. We've drafted a contract, and now we need an estimate to develop a proposal. So check out part 4 of the series where I'll go over an engineering estimate and show you a simple tool that I've created on my website of a mechanical engineering ROM estimate, for example. If you have any questions or comments, please add them below and visit my website for more information. Or if you're considering DQ Design as a resource, the link is in the description. And in the meantime, if you find these videos helpful, please like and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in the next one.